Hi, Tribe, coming to you live on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and hope you guys are having a productive and or relaxing week. Before we launch into my guest for today, Pleasance, wanted to remind those of you who are tuning in from the DC region that I have my meetup next week. Food Network star Melissa DiArabian is going to be joining us to talk about kind of winning the next Food Network star. So if you're around, would love to see you there. And I am continuing to doing coaching and mastermind groups. So if you're a female entrepreneur and interested in either of those services, would love for you to reach out. Okay, so after that, I am going to launch right into my guest for today, Pleasance Salicki. Did I say your last name right, Pleasance?
Yeah, Salicki.
Salicki, okay. So Pleasance, do you want to give us, Pleasance lives in the DC metro area, and her business is Lil Ohm, and do you want to give us the quick rundown on what you do, Pleasance?
Yeah, so I'm a mind, body, spirit, soul coach and mentor for women who are really looking to expand their inner life, to live to their full potential at all levels. So I run courses and groups and retreats and just love spending time with other women talking about like feeling really good in our body and in our relationships. So that's what I do.
And if you can't feel it from the screen, like Pleasance has this amazing aura that does. It just like makes you feel good. And her newsletter is great. She has these great tidbits that come in your inbox and are just good reminders and I don't know, it's like a happiness vibe, I feel like, in your inbox every Wednesday, I think, right?
Yeah, I love to I just sit down and write those from my heart thinking what do I need? What do all the women that I know need right now? What kind of meditation might help? What kinds of wisdom? So I study Ayurveda and yoga, meditation, Enneagram, all of these really fascinating systems to help us and help us feel better and have less stress and more joy in our life. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm obsessed with.
I'm sure that there are many people out there who are needing that. I know I'm one of them. So today we're going to be talking about stressing less, specifically during the holiday season with Thanksgiving approaching, but also Pleasance and I were just chatting how really everything we're going to talk about today is applicable to any mom and any mompreneur, really in any everyday life as well, right, Pleasance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I feel really probably connected to you around and a lot of the women in your tribe is that I too am extremely ambitious and overeducated and a recovering type A. And so these practices have really helped form and change my life in terms of how I achieve those goals and the ambition and the drive that I have, and also keep it in check so that I don't I've had autoimmune issues in the past when I'm sort of doing too much and spreading too thin. And I've had a lot of, the health issues that came up. So adrenal fatigue is really common with entrepreneurial women.
Mhm.
And so I really relate and am always interested in how do we balance that, this drive and like creating a wonderful life and creating an impact with our actual physical body and that we're mammals and we're human beings, not doings, and how to have that. I want to move my body every day for the rest of my life. I want to work and do good work and write and like just be really active in my life. And so that takes a longer term approach, which is actually a tip on in terms of stressing less and living more, right? Is like looking at the long view rather than just today.
Yes, and that's a hard thing to train your mind to do, I feel like.
Yeah, it can be for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so looking at the long term and not just the short, what is another tip that you say for all of us stressed out mompreneurs?
Yeah, there's like a three-part. So thinking about it in terms of kind of picking it apart in like what's step one. So number one is to do that check-in. So usually with the women I work with, we talk about areas of tightness or tension that might arise. And that's always an indicator. It's like it's your body's way of kind of ding, 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 listen to me. There's something going on here. There's something out of alignment. So I'm very, very passionate about living in alignment, living in flow, and really staying true to who you are. And the only way to do that is to listen, or one of the ways to do that is to listen to your body when there's tension and tightness in a relationship or physically, because that can give you some insight. Something is not quite right. Something needs to shift or needs to change. And there's so many ways this can look in your business and in your life, or even over the next week or so, or moving into the holidays with family and with responsibilities. So looking for areas of tension and tightness that arise.
Can you give us an example of like what that might be?
Yeah,
That's
totally.
like a neck, a pain in, like a literal pain in the neck, or your stomach.
A literal pain in the neck, in the body. So here's one thing that's super cool about Eastern philosophy is all of your physical body relates to your emotional body and to life beyond sort of the mat or the physical body. So anything in shoulders and neck is really weight bearing of someone else's stress, or you're taking them on. So a lot of my women who have a lot of tension and tightness in the shoulders, we practice breathing and moving and just letting go of that person, of that burden, of that stress. It doesn't mean we don't send them love and compassion and still care for them, but we can't actually hold them on our shoulders. And over time, it can move to the neck. So oftentimes with neck, we're looking at a very personal relationship that might have a tension or tightness because it's kind of worked its way up, and it might be ongoing. Usually a parent, a spouse, a child, like the people who are super close to us, that's where the pain in the neck comes in.
Okay.
So that's one example. Another one in business might be, you know how someone might call you to be a client, or a client that you're thinking of working with, and after you kind of get really snippy at maybe, again, your partner, your children, but you're deflecting. It's not really them. It's that there's something with the energy or the interaction with that potential client that was very triggering to you, and your body is saying like a big X, like, no, this is not a good fit, or don't work with this person. But we often don't have these conversations to kind of tune into our body when it's trying to send us messages. So we push past it, and then we might be a little bit snippy with the people who are closest to us.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is if that happens, or a vendor might get upset, you know, there's conflict and there's things that come up in our businesses. So I had something with DC government, right? And this employment insurance. I don't even have employees anymore. So I'm going through this for 2 years with them. And I get the letter and I'm on the phone, I put it down, and then my husband comes in and says something. And I was like, you know, I'm just tired of you coming home late and saying this. And I turn and I look at him and I was like, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the DC government. But my body was confused because I was still holding that last tension and tightness. And I really need to figure this situation out. And he turned, he gave me a hug. He said, I'm so glad you're learning all this stuff. It's really making our marriage a lot better.
Oh my God. My husband, if he was listening right now, would say that I need some of these tips from me.
Paying attention, right? To where is that trigger? Where did that tension or tightness originate? And are you projecting it out on someone who it's not really part of? And like for me, and I'm sure for a lot of your women, I go right to like almost like a shame spiral. Like, I should have taken care of this. Like, I'm frustrated. Why isn't this done? What am I doing wrong? And it's not always the case. Like, sometimes you just need to pick up the phone and call the place and make it better, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's just that I don't want to always put all of that energy inward around what I'm not doing. Instead, really honor, like, okay, I really need to resolve this because it's clearly showing up in my body. It's clearly showing up in how I'm treating the people I love the most. And now, that's not cool for me. You know?
Yeah. Do you have any tips if you are feeling the stress and the physical and the mental, but you can't necessarily identify where it's coming from?
Yeah. So first thing is, and that's why these are all practices. That's why a yoga practice and a mindfulness practice are so key to running the business and the family and the life that you want and stepping into that leadership, because good leaders can see the bigger picture. So let's say we've got something going on. We pause, we check in. That's we do a body scan, or we just kind of stop for a minute, pause, take some deep breaths. One tip that's really helpful when we're trying to identify what's happening on the inner body and how it's coming in our outer world is maybe just putting your hands right on your belly, taking a few deep breaths right on your belly. Or another good one for moms and entrepreneurs who tend to bring that inward and kind of become a little bit of a martyr, or become a little bit of like, I can do it all, but you start to that starts to unravel a little bit. Hands right on your heart. This is called self-compassion mudra. So you press both palms in and just close your eyes and deep breathing right into the center of your chest. Dr. Kristen Neff is the self-compassion researcher who, there's books on this and courses, but just knowing this mudra has literally saved my life, because I can feel, it's like everything shifts and I don't have to take things so personally or rage out. You know, a lot of people rage inward rather than outward.
Yeah.
So this just helps us remind, and even if, say you're at night and you're feeling so anxious about this week and all the responsibilities and end of the year and last quarter and did you make your goals, I just lay on my back in my bed, hands on my heart, soles of the feet together, and just breathe right into the center of my chest, feeling that wholeness so that I can start to have a deeper relationship with my intuition.
Yeah. And is that something you train yourself? I know like meditation in general, but like the idea of even doing that, I feel like, I don't know if anyone else out there can relate, but I feel like I would do it for about 10 seconds and then I'd be like, okay, is it done? Did I do what I need to do for it to be gone? Like, is that something that you just slowly train yourself over time to be able to?
The practice of, right? Yeah. It's just, and for a lot of our women, this is so cool. For a lot of the women, just remembering to do it is the hardest like part. So they use little stickies next to their bed, or an alert in their phone, or like super simple little things on the mirror, like self-compassion. But in Pali, which is the original language of a lot of the Buddhist texts, it's so cool. There's actually a word, sati, which is translated as remember to remember. So humans forever they forget. And so part of the teachings and part of the wisdom is that part of the practice and the commitment to your leadership and the commitment to showing up in all areas of your life as your full, expanded, wonderful self is remembering to remember that these teachings are available to us and are very helpful and very grounding, and their practices. So we're always, as humans, going to forget and start again, right? And so with meditation or mindfulness, people always tell me, I can't meditate, my mind, it's so crazy, or I get lost and I forget, or I'm so distracted. And that's actually very normal. That's part of what we are all doing, because that's part of what we're practicing over and over, distraction. So once we can kind of accept it and embrace that that's normal, it actually lessens the intensity.
Oh, really? Okay.
Part of the issue is the battle.
Right. Exactly.
We let go of the battle and we just sit and we breathe. We're like, oh, there's my mind. It's wandering away again. That's what I do. Okay, come back.
And then you bring it back.
Bring it back, So
do you think it's most effective daily?
I mean, yes. And I love to practice in non-traditional ways. So what you see a lot of is a very masculine approach. So one of the things I teach women is around masculine and feminine energy and how it's helpful and how it's not helpful. And one of the things in the yoga and meditation world is that the approaches have been very masculine. So it looks like, someone's sitting up very rigid, their eyes are closed, and it looks like they're just totally in the zone. A way more feminine approach to meditation is practicing while you're doing dishes, feeling the water all over your hands, feeling the dishes, feeling gratitude for the fact that you have water and dishes and you're feeding your family, or in the shower and just feeling the water over your body and just breathing with it. And again, where is your gratitude practice, right? Like running water and feeling that cleansingness that we get to experience every day is such a gift. And we forget because we get caught up in our thoughts. Mm-hmm. So my favorite meditation practice is walking the dog around the block, or just sitting and watching my children grow up. It's amazing. They're amazing. I'm so lucky in so many ways. All of us are. If we're on this computer or watching this call, you are full of abundance.
Right.
In so many ways. So it's looking at the trees. It's like these little more feminine approaches because they're softer, they're not outcome oriented, and they're kind of just embracing whatever experience is happening right now.
So it doesn't have to be sitting in a zone, like eyes closed and right.
And
Okay.
there's lots of benefit to that. And I think that there's a time and a place for that. And I also know that I have two kids and a big, wonderful business and a husband and my community work, and that not always does sitting in silence really support and nourish my life. I really want to drop into what's real, what the real experience is. I don't want to miss a second.
Right, which is what so many of us, yeah, we don't stop and actually enjoy in the moment. We're like constantly thinking about the next thing or what we have to do, right? Yes. So I want to pause for a second because I wanted to see, can somebody type in? I just want to make sure if you do have comments or questions, because I'm using Be Live for like the first or second time. So if anyone is out there and can maybe type a comment just so I know that I'm seeing them, that would be great. Because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to hit this button or not, but we'll keep going. But if anyone, because now you see this thing up on the screen, don't you? Oh, technology. Okay, so if someone is able to type in, because I do see some eyeballs, that would be helpful just so we know that we can take your questions and or comments. Okay, so we'll keep going. So being in the moment and having, oh, great. Thank you, Colleen. Just wanted to make sure. So being in the moment and is one of those things that obviously is not just related to the holidays. We could be doing that all the time. So do you have like a specific, like you said, doing the dishes, like, do you have a specific trigger that it's kind of like, okay, every time I brush my teeth, or is that like putting too much pressure on yourself, do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm just really curious about all the ways that my life can kind of be highlighted and like enlivened just by being present. And it's not like a 24/7 thing. And there's a wonderful Buddhist teacher who always says, like, if you're sitting and drinking tea, sit and drink your tea. If you're sitting and drinking tea and reading the paper, like read the paper, like do the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
And he really talks about it in terms of that's how we actually show love, is when we show up for someone and we really listen. And this is really something that I'm seeing less and less of, right, in our world. And again, mostly to the people that we love and care about the most.
Yeah, like our kids, our spouse. Yeah.
They're the ones who see us on the phone all the time. They're the ones who see us like racing from thing to thing. And for me, so I ran a very big, successful yoga studio for 8 years where I was so good at taking care of everybody else. And I was so good at being so successful in all of these different ways. But my kids, I never saw them on the weekend because I was always working. And my husband had been, parenting them alone all weekend. And it was just the demands and the stress. And something in my heart just craved that to be reversed, to the most important people really feeling the most love for me. And that practicing yoga and studying well-being and being obsessed with like living a good life, I realized that my priorities had been kind of flipped. And I needed to find a way to flip them back so that truly the people who I love and care about the most get the best and the most of me. That felt really important to my alignment. I'm not saying that's your alignment. The thing I want all women who are working for themselves and running families and raising families to understand is that you have to do you. And that means deep soul work. The type of work that I say, get to know, like one of the tips would be, the specific tip is get to know who you are. What are you made of? There's lots of tools. This is some of the things I write about all the time because I'm obsessed. There's Enneagram and Kolbe and your Ayurvedic doshas and obviously Myers-Briggs and Strengths Finder and Fascination Advantage. Like there's all these different ways to get to know yourself. And they're so valuable to guiding and living in your alignment and your truth. And that is where I get boundless energy and how I wake up at 5, I flow through the day. I just love life because I know who I am and how to work my strengths, and I follow that energy path. So I want other women to say, really stand in who they are. This is what I'm made of. This is what lights me up. This is what I'm going to do more of. And those tension and tightness areas, like we talked about earlier, are insights to stuff that's not really serving us and helping us be in our zone of genius, you know?
So what if we know that we need to do kind of some of these things that you're saying? Well, I have two questions.
Yeah.
One, what if you're kind of in that fork in the road and you know that something isn't right, but you can't put your finger on where you go next, or you don't know where you go next? Do you have any like meditation practices or tips on how to kind of discover that?
Yeah. I mean, Gay Hendricks talks about this in The Big Leap, right? He says, like, sit in the mantra of I expand into love and success and creativity and abundance every day, and commit to 10 minutes of sitting with yourself quietly, either saying the success mantra or just being with yourself and breathing. The answers are within you. You will never, if you learn how to listen to your heart and listen to your intuition, it will not lead you in the wrong direction. But you have to trust it. You have to trust yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily easy. It's like a lot of my women, as we go through this work together, find themselves messy, messy, messy. And they're like, I thought this was going to be, you know, ease is not easy. Especially if we've been putting things under the carpet for a long time.
Yeah. So when you work with other people, are you teaching them how to meditate, or you're guiding them through a practice and or questions?
All of it, right? So
Yeah.
for me, the mind, body, soul work is all integrated.
Mm-hmm.
So we might do some of the mindset stuff. We teach about Byron Katie, make sure you know how to do the work, make sure you know how to really operate from your core desired feelings, from your core values, like all of this deep inner work, so that you can learn who you are and then take action around how to care for yourself. So I really am like a self-care coach, you know, of a holistic health coach and a yoga teacher, but I'm talking about soul care, not necessarily manis and petties.
Yes.
Right. I'm talking about that deep soul. So one thing you could do, so on Monday mornings, I always have I have my CEO block, and part of that CEO block, 9 to 11 every Monday, is listening, getting quiet, looking at my whole business, looking at my family, and then adjusting that masculine and feminine energy based on what is current in the season. And by season, I mean my kids, could be the physical season, it could be my cycle. Like I just have to say this because of all these business women. I plan my month out based on my cycle. So I don't do energetic things as I'm approaching my first day of my cycle. I do that in the beginning when I naturally have the most energy.
Oh my goodness.
Cool. It's so fun.
And you see a difference when you do that. Yeah.
Because when I'm really tired right before I bleed, like I just have an open day and I might just sleep or let myself just totally relax or take calls from bed or write from the heart, like write a blog from bed. Like I just really honor what nature is asking me to honor.
And then as a result, you're probably way more productive than if you were just booking things that whole day. That's your point.
I'm not pushing through. I'm not fighting nature. I'm just leaning into how I'm really feeling because I trust the relationship of my body and I trust the relationship of how it connects to nature. This is 20 years of studying, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm upset. Like I'm like, this is so cool. It feels so energetic and abundant. And I have I just attract, what's really interesting on the business front too, is the attraction, because I also practice law of attraction.
Yeah.
Attract people that, I mean, I love the women I work with or who come to the groups, and they're just these amazing, wholehearted beings, you know, who want to learn more and study. And so it's just awesome, that kind of attraction. Like I think I used to, especially running the yoga studio in DC, there was a lot of, I don't know, that kind of tension around, am I giving you what you need? Are you getting what you need? Is this the right schedule? Like there was just a lot of back and forth around things that were super draining. Energetically, because I'm a type 2 in the Enneagram, which is a service based, like I have to be of service to feel good. And I got kind of mixed up in that because there was this element of service, but I also was kind of a doormat a little.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the law of attraction, and like for those, because I know some of the women in my masterminds or just that I interact with, the things in their business aren't necessarily going the way they want it to. Like maybe the sales aren't there or the customers aren't there, and you get, or it's just not working. And then you just obsess over it and it's not working, and or in your personal life and kids. And then isn't there something with the law of attraction kind of about letting go and not harping on that? Or what are your tips for that if you have it?
So law of attraction would say the more that you focus on your debt, the more debt you're going to have. So instead of focusing on the debt, you focus on the abundance. It's a gratitude practice. So that's where the like Thank You and Grow Rich, Pam Grout is her book, or she's the author of that. So that's a like Thank You and Grow Rich is a great law of attraction business tool. Sorry, my dog's gonna bark because the mailman just came. Miller, come here. So Thank You and Grow Rich for business is awesome because it really helps you see if you're talking about how many clients you don't have over and over, that's what you're perpetuating. That's what you're keeping. So you want to turn it. So you would sit down and make a list, like who are the people you want to attract? Who are the people you want to work with and how many? So I make a list. So like right before we're about to do, share our mindful eating and yoga retreat. And so today my partner and I taught her how to do this. You write the name of the program or the offering, and then how many spots you have open or you want to fill. And then you really set your intention, like who are the women or the people, your clients, however you work, that you want to attract, how many spots, who do you want, picture them, visualize them, love on them. Picture working with them. Like for me, I'm going to picture us all at this Bard in Harper's Ferry doing yoga, like just really being present with what your vision, what your dreaming is for the type of business and the type of client you have. And then you focus. What that does is take all your energy that's leaking all over and just focuses right onto the most important thing. How many spots are you trying to share or sell? How many people are there? And then what are the tools that are going to get you from here to there? That comes naturally when you're in alignment. I'm not even focusing on refunds or people not coming or what if, like sometimes I'll work with someone and they'll start saying, well, what if they don't? And what if this? And I'm like, no, I'm not bringing any of that in. I've never had that. It just doesn't happen because I'm coming from the alignment and the integrity first of the offering.
But what if they do have the debt or the business hasn't gone? Like that's not.
Oh, totally.
You know, that's not fixating on something that hasn't happened. It is a reality and it's there, right? So then
skill up. When you need to skill up and you need to get a coach because you don't know what to do, or you need to hire a financial advisor, you need to sit down and have a really difficult conversation because you've put yourself in a lot of debt, which I did when I closed my studio. And so I'm obsessed with the money piece and the money mindset piece around debt and being really intentional and hiring and reading and skilling up as much as I could to see why those habits and patterns were repeating and being clear about what was happening with it. Get that truthfulness.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us stick our head in the dirt and kind of, because of the shame.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. When I started doing that money work, overcoming under earning, like even saying the name of it gives me the chills because I was a teacher. I taught in DC public schools. I was a social worker, a yoga teacher. You're talking about all of these careers where women make nothing, right? Over and over. So when I heard about overcoming under earning, I thought, that's me. It's time, right? And Barbara Stanley's second book is called, the second one that was for me was Sacred Success. And that really, again, I said, yes, that's what I need. That's what I want. So I had to skill up and find people who were experts in the thing that I was burying my head about. And I would do the journaling exercises. I found an accountability partner who I trusted. Can we sit together and talk about our money stuff so we can heal this? And we cried and we yelled at each other because we were not in a mean way, but like in a triggered because it's a lot. But going through here's the thing, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, they help support you in the hard times because they help you get comfortable with discomfort. All successful women need to be comfortable with discomfort. It's part of putting ourselves out there. It's part of the risk that we take every day.
Yeah.
And the more we can feel the discomfort and sit with it, it's just such a gift for all those areas.
Totally. Okay. I know we're running up on 3 o'clock, so I have,
I'll pick up too.
I know. Do you have to go right this second?
No, no.
Okay. Colleen has this question, so I wanted to get to her question on the self-assessments, the best tools that you, I think you might have rattled off a couple, and I can try to repost them in the comments, but.
So the two things what I can do for you too is I actually rounded up a bunch and then said what the different ones were good for in terms of like, is it work? Is it career? Is it family? And so I actually put that together as a blog post last year. So I'd be happy to share that with you. You can cut and paste it or link to it.
I can just link to it in the tribe. Yeah.
I'll get it for you after and send it over. Cause then that's great. You've got that on file and then you can use it as you need. Some are free, some are paid, but it's a nice guide.
Okay, awesome. And then what do you think, Pleasance, I might have already asked this, but like for those of us who are like, oh my God, listening to you and being like, I wish I could think this way and or, are inspired, the little thing that we can do to start incorporating any of what we talked about today, like over the Thanksgiving weekend and in general in life.
I think it's a beautiful time to start that self-compassion mudra if you're not doing it. I think committing to that as one thing. And if you have...
What is the mudra? Is it long or is it...
No, just
doing this.
And if you want to do the sentence, I can type it to you too, that you can put it in. So people,
okay.
I actually just put it on Instagram today because I was doing it with
Oh, you did?
Earlier, just to remind her. I
Tell everybody your Instagram so they can find it.
Little Om Yoga.
Yeah. L-I-L.
L-I-L-O-M-M. Yeah.
Yeah.
I expand in success and abundance and creativity and love in order to inspire others and myself every day. You can make it your own. You don't have to hold that one. That's just Gay Hendricks one. But I love that one. So hands on your heart and breathing and sitting with yourself. I think that teaching around getting comfortable with the discomfort is going to probably be something that some of you guys may want to chew on over the next, maybe the next 6 weeks. Like we're going into my favorite season, right? This beginning of December, we look back on 2017, what's happened, reflecting inner life. How is it matching up? And then what are we looking for in 2018? What are we really looking for in 2018? And there's, again, so many ways to do that. But I think inside will tell you if you trust it.
Yes. And then this also the gratitude, I think, is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that comes naturally when you sit in over time. When you commit to the practice, the gratitude, things start to light up around you in ways that you haven't seen before. Yeah. And that's one of the like benefits that we get from practice. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you're so inspiring. Amazing. So where can people find you, and tell everyone some of the ways that if they wanted to like learn more from you or work with you? Because I know there are many people out there feeling like I am, where I'm like, okay, you're motivating me to I feel like I am not at all practicing any of what you're saying. So even to be able to, gain some tools to do it.
I'm so glad that it resonates because it's really changed my whole world. So I'm super glad. These are not my teachings. These are, just coming through me, I say.
Yeah.
So lilom.com, Lilomm, my dog saying hi again. And I also wrote a book about all of this and I want to share it with you guys. So I can also send you a link to that you can post below. Instagram and everything is on littleom.com. We have, like I said, that weekly newsletter where I just share a lot of teachings. That's really the intention, is to try to share out the teachings, and then what you feel like resonates with you. You can come to a class or a retreat, or just literally I have, thousands of people who just read that newsletter and write to me every week and say, thank you. Like, thanks for the videos. And I'm excited because I'm doing my 2018 dreaming, and I just want to share with more women these tools that have been so helpful. So
I know. And I know there's a huge audience of women who could benefit, and you're so good at it. So, okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad Pleasance and I have been trying to do this for like a while. So I know, I'm so happy. And hopefully you guys got some good tips and inspiration. We would love to hear in the comments, because so many of you watch it after the fact, what resonated with you most, and or if you have any questions for Pleasance or I, feel free to put them in the comments, and I always go back, and I'm sure she will as well, just to see if there's any additional info. And like we talked about, we'll try to post some of the resources that she shared in the comments below so that you have them. Otherwise, thank you so much, Pleasance. And I hope that everybody has a great Thanksgiving holiday. And my one piece of gratitude today is I'm very thankful for the tribe and those of you who have tuned in, and also to Pleasance for doing this with me. So thank you all, guys. Okay, we'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you next week around 2:30 on Tuesday. Have a great holiday. Okay.